Hi, my name is Gukesh and I'm going to show you my game against Sargsyan Gabriel, a very strong grandmaster from Armenia, in my best tournament, which was 2022 Chess Olympiad. So the game started with d4, which is my favorite move to start with, and I have a lot of experience with it. My opponent replied d5, c4, the queen's gambit. He played e6, not accepting the gambit, and knight f3, knight f6, knight c3. Here I was expecting two options. One was the Ragozin with bishop b4, another was the QGD with bishop e7. And he went bishop b4. And this is an opening where both of us have a lot of experience. We played with both colors, so we were both in known territory. And I chose a very trendy line nowadays, which is queen a4, knight c6, to block the c pawn from advancing, and then developing normally. E3, castle, bishop d2, and he played the most principal move dc4. Another option is rook e8, and it also leads to a very interesting positions, but he chose the more principled approach, which is to take the pawn, and bishop c4, bishop d6. Now black is trying to utilize my misplaced queen on a4 to get in a quick e5 and develop the c8 bishop, which is the main problem for black. And now I had prepared a very interesting idea for this game. So I went queen c2, e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5. And the common move is to take on e5 and bishop e5, f4. And this is a very well-known theoretical duel, and which has been very well worked out for black, and it's equalizing. So um, I had prepared this very interesting move, bishop e2, with the point of keeping the tension and giving black an option if he wants to take on f3 or allow my knight to come to f5 via d4. So my opponent was started thinking from this point, and he took on f3, which I would say was maybe not a very good practical decision, because now I get a free rolling attack and he's not really in his preparation. So I went gf3, which was the point of bishop e2. Now I can long castle and use the g file for a strong attack. So he expected long castle and he prepared queenside expansion with a6. I went long castle, b5, and I immediately took use of the open g file to start creating threats around the black's king. And here my opponent came up with an interesting decision. So he played b4, which at first sight looks like a mistake, because he's forcing my knight to go to e4 where I want it to be. But his point is that I won't get bishop c3, eyeing the long diagonal. And I think it's a very interesting approach. And knight e4, he took on knight e4. And if queen e4, then after rook b8, I don't really have many threats, because bishop d3, g6, and he can develop his bishop next move with a fine position. So I decided to take with the pawn to expand more on the center with f4, e5. And now bishop b4 is also a threat, because the queen is black's queen is pinned. So he moved away the queen, and I played f4, which threatens e5 and opens up my queen to the king side. And now he has two options to block e5 with f6, or what he played in the game, a5. If he goes f6, then I can go bishop d3 with the threat of e5 and bishop h7, and his king is a bit weakened with f6, but I still think f6 was a better practical decision than what he did in the game. But a5 is also possible for sure. Now I got what I wanted, a center expansion, and bishop c5 is the only square for the bishop. And here I came up with a interesting idea, which is rook g5. The point is to double on the g file and increase the pressure around the black's king. But also with rook g5, I'm eyeing the bishop on c5. So at some point I can get an e6 and the bishop on c5 will be vulnerable. So I thought rook g5 was a very interesting move, and he played a logical move, bishop a6, trying to develop his rook with a tempo. And I went rook g1, threatening mate on g7. If bishop e2, then after rook takes g7, king h8, rook takes h7, it's a checkmate. He of course didn't fall for it. He played g6, stopping my threat, and now I thought it's better to exchange the bishops. And now I played a move which was kind of the point of rook g5, because now I'm pawn storming his king side, and he can't take the pawn on e5 because of fg6 when the rook on g5 is hitting his queen. So he went bishop a7, just moving the vulnerable bishop out of the way. Which bishop a7 was, by the way, a mistake. He should have gone rook c6, trying to defend his bishop and also moving his rook out of a6, which was quite vulnerable as well. And it's still a very complex position with chances for both sides. But after bishop a7, I had a very strong move in this position, which was king b1, to get out of any troubles on the c file. And now I'm threatening queen c4 with attacking the rook on a6 and also threatening fg6 when his king is pinned. So I should have played king b1, but I made a mistake too with e6. And he had a very interesting option to keep the game going. At first it looks like very scary for black, but he should take the pawn on e6. And when my plan was to take on g6, he should just go h6. And now the g file is blocked, so my attack is not as strong as it seems. And if I give black a couple of moves, he'll start play of his own. So he should have played fe6, but it's a very unnatural move to make. So he just stepped out of the danger with king h8, which is a very logical move, but is also a mistake. And now I played king b1 to stop any kind of queen c5 threats in the future. And here he took gf5 with the idea of just clearing the pawn tension, but he missed a very strong tactic over here. And I was very proud that I managed to find it, which was bishop takes b4. Now with the idea of clearing the path to the queen to g2, and he took the bishop on b4. I went queen g2. Now I'm threatening rook g8, checkmate. So he decided to exchange the queens. And after queen e4, fe4, here comes the most the point of my sacrifice with bishop b4, which is e7. And now he has to move the rook, and I give a check. Rook g8, king g8 is forced. And now I managed to make a queen. And white is completely winning, but the game went on for a couple of moves. He went king g7. I went queen e5 check. Queen a8 was a bit stronger, but queen e5 I calculated it was good enough for a win. He went rook f6, blocking the check. And if I take on a5 directly, then he can take on e3, and it should still be winning, but it's unnecessary counterplay for my opponent. So I gave a check first. He can't move his king, so he has to block the check. and I take the pawn. Now if he takes the pawn on e3, I give queen c3 and he loses the bishop. So after queen a5, he went rook g1 check. I went king c2, rook g2, king b3. So after king b3, the threat still remains. He can't take the pawn on c3, pawn on e3 because of queen c3 check. So he played bishop b6, attacking my queen, and I played queen e5 check to win the pawn on e4. He went king f8. I played queen h8 check, king e7, queen h7. He still can't take the pawn on e3 because I can take on e4. He went rook e2, queen e4, and here he realized that he's going to lose his rook, because if he goes to the d file anywhere, d6, d7, d8, I have queen d3 check, winning the rook on e2. And if he goes king f6, I have queen f3. So king f8 is the only move, and here I played queen b4, and my opponent resigned because of if he blocks the check, I win the bishop. If he moves to the g file, I have queen g4 and queen e2. If he goes king e8, I have queen b5, winning the rook. So with queen b4, I wrapped up a very nice win, one of my favorite games of my career, and it was also a very important win for my team. We were playing against Armenia, and I won the game, but unfortunately we lost the match. But still, it was a very memorable game for me. Uh, and yeah, obviously this set up my momentum for the next couple of rounds, where I again won and made 8 out of 8 in the Olympiad, which was a historical moment. So surely a very memorable game for me.